All right, we should be live. Welcome everybody to the 2018 Holiday Heroes Training here at Justuno. My name is Jenna Ochoa and I will be your co-host today. I'm so excited that you guys joined us for our first episode. We're super pumped about this whole series. So it looks like we've got people joining in right now. Got a few people, 26, maybe my counter is off, but people are coming in. Guys, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and share up where you are joining us from today. I'd love to know where you are. I don't think that we are going to make it for international folks, but if any international people are joining live, super points to you because it's probably way past your bedtime. So thanks for joining. Your co-host today is going to be our VP of Customer Success, Robbie. He's going to be leading the entire training. So Robbie, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick introduction and tell us what you do here at Justuno.
Sure thing. Thanks, Jenna. Hey, everybody. My name is Robbie Hammett. Some of you guys might know me as your account manager, but I run customer success for Justuno and have largely just been kind of taking the bull by the horns here and trying to do all the research for, on behalf of our clients to help you guys put together a data-driven strategy for your upcoming holiday season.
Cool deal. And also on our chat is going to be one of our account managers, Miranda. So she will be helping answer some questions as they come in. I myself will also be on chat. So it's really good to see we've got everyone from all over the place. So I saw a couple of international folks. So like I said, extra points to you. Somebody said it's not that late here yet. So that's good. Cool. Before we get started, guys, I'm going to do two things. First, I'd like to launch a poll. Let me find that here. I'm going to launch a poll and see if you guys can just answer a few questions while I'm covering some of these logistics. So go ahead, check out. There's 3 questions. Would love your feedback. Alrighty, first of all, the runtime for this whole thing, we're going to try to keep it around 40 minutes. I don't know, Robbie, if you think that's possible, but maybe this first episode will keep it around that time. During the presentation, use the chat feature to ask us questions. Like I said, Miranda and myself will be manning the chat, so we'll try to answer them in real time. If not, we'll save it for the end because we're going to have a Q&A. And during the Q&A, Robbie will answer any and all of your questions, and we'll do our best to get you the best answer. This is going to be recorded, so I'm going to send you guys out a replay tomorrow along with a PDF of the deck. So you can share with your team if you guys are joining from a company, but you have a larger marketing team, or if you just want to save it for yourself for later. And lastly, if you're noticing any technical difficulties, please let us know in the chat and I will try and get that resolved. But it seems like everything is going okay because we're getting some responses here in the chat. So I'm assuming that you guys can hear me. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and end this poll, Robbie, and we can take a look at the results. Okay. It looks like a lot of people, when it comes to planning, have a general idea, but they're still working on it. So seems like a lot of you have already started planning for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. That's good. What promotion worked best for you last year? The winner is other. So maybe we can find out what that is later in the Q&A. And then just, experience last Black Friday, Cyber Monday overall looks pretty good. Well, if that experience was less than great for you, we hope that today's training will help this year go a little bit better. So with that, Robbie, I'll go ahead and let you get started.
Sure. We're constantly learning year over year too. So that service, if you thought it was great, awesome. It's going to be even better. If you thought it was less than great, then we hope to make it better for you this year. But I just want to take this moment to wish everybody a happy holidays already. Obviously we're just kidding, but this is happening. We're here and we're talking about the holidays in September, while the weather is still nice. So for those of you doing your research already and that have kind of a general game plan, good for you. Glad to see you kind of join us as a part of your research. And basically what we hope to do is I just want to kind of give you a Cliff's Notes version of all the research that we've found tying back to last year and what can be done this year. And we want to make it all very pertinent to Justuno and not only kind of give you some guidance on that, but also some context and affirmation of things that you kind of always hear about the holidays. The total of the 4 episodes will help you get out in front of the holidays with products like ours, because there will be critical time sensitive things going on during that time. And Justuno is going to be one of those things going right at the right time, and not the other way around. So, so let's just jump right in. Let's kick things off with some interesting bullet points from last year. And what I would note about these is these aren't all the amazing facts about Black Friday and Cyber Monday last year, but these are things that will directly affect how you approach Justuno this year. And for those of you doing your research already, these numbers won't be terribly shocking to see, but 40% of shoppers beginning their research as early as October. That basically means that people are being trained to look for deals earlier in the season. Businesses like yours are trying to get ahead of your competition, and basically you're in the right place at the right time. You guys are kind of right on time with your planning. 6.59 billion spent on Cyber Monday this year, a U.S. history record for online sales. So if that's any indication, this year will only be larger and probably another record-breaking year. So plenty of opportunity out there for everybody. One really interesting fact that I found was 58 out of the 61 days between November and December last year had at least $1 billion in sales. So November is 30 days, December is 31 days, 61 days. 58 of those days had at least $1 billion in sales. And you may be wondering which 3 did not, and that was Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, and the day before Christmas Eve. The only 3 days that did not top $1 billion in online sales, which is pretty, it makes a strong case for building out an entire promotion strategy for the entire season as opposed to just the Cyber 5 sprint. So almost half spent on mobile. Undoubtedly, you guys have seen a lot of articles talking about this surge of mobile, but the overall, this was the overall e-commerce industry on Black Friday and Cyber Monday last year, that almost half was spent on mobile. Depending on the platform that you're on, you may have seen that more than half of your purchases were made on mobile. So we're going to get a lot into mobile UX and why people don't convert on mobile and why they do. So the last interesting fact that I found is 2 out of the 10 top online buying days happened a week before Christmas. So this is really you guys may be focused on fulfilling during this time, which you should be, but this is really an opportunity that big box retailers like Amazon have really capitalized on in years past. So we'll look at some ways that you guys can get in on some of those last minute shoppers.
Okay. And Robbie, sorry, on this last point, and this might be just a dumb question, but the reason for that being one of the most popular days a week before Christmas, doesn't that have something to do with the shipping time?
Yeah, absolutely. So like what we're going to focus on in terms of Justuno is how you can work with your shipping deadlines to ensure that some of those sales land on your site and not via Prime memberships on Amazon, because there's no doubt that there's a lot of trust in them to fulfill orders, but we want to help you guys keep those sales on site if possible.
Got it. Okay. A lot of people probably already knew that. I was just going to clarify.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of diving in a little bit more, trends that are kind of continually on the rise. Number one, we're looking at email, and this is going to be a topic that we really harp on. It's proof that investing in your email marketing campaigns and feeding these lists early is really key to a successful holiday season. I got another big email stat right here that we'll go over more in a minute, that every dollar spent on email marketing generates an average of $44 in ROI during the holiday season. So that's yet more proof and a huge amount of opportunity that if you listen to other webinars and other holiday trainings, you're going to hear this message over and over. Number two, 73% of millennials prefer email marketing, and that's kind of on the rise as well. And guess what? The majority of them are actually checking the email on their phones, which kind of segues nicely into my next point. Which you might be looking at this and saying like, hey, I thought you just said that almost half was spent on mobile last year. And I did, but we're talking about Shopify merchants right here, which I know a lot of you guys are. Many people kind of believe that the rise in mobile and Shopify specifically has a lot to do with how ubiquitous their mobile responsive themes are, and how easy they make it there. But the message here is you don't have to be on Shopify to make your mobile Justuno campaigns work well for you. As it pertains to Justuno, the combination of an optimized mobile site and optimized mobile promotion will help you generate ROI from this kind of surging mobile segment that continues to rise. The next one, I was actually kind of surprised to read this, but then I kept kind of seeing it over and over in multiple articles that I was looking through. This essentially just makes a case for not only your ad spend, not talking about Justuno, but kind of investing in that traffic once it gets to your site with targeted Justuno campaigns, which I actually have seen an uptick with a lot of our clients who are more interested than ever in targeting people who are clicking through from social. And it makes a case for not just focusing on that email marketing segment, but also social as well. So another look at Amazon, they took over 37% of sales last holiday season. Internet Retailer predicts that that's going to go up to 40% this year. And a lot of you actually sell on Amazon, maybe reluctantly, but either way, you should keep doing so. There are, however, a multitude of different promotions that we can help you set up and run through Justuno that will keep sales on your site, kind of like what I was just mentioning. It really kind of comes down to the timing of these promotions, and you'll notice the theme there. Not really pushing against Amazon, but giving shoppers a reason to purchase direct instead. So I want to note too that in the upcoming episodes, we're going to focus on some of those promotions that will help you keep those shoppers buying on your site. And it's things like bundling gifts and things that Amazon can't offer that you can, okay, along with shipping and everything like that too. So let's talk a little bit more about this 1-to-44 ratio. This is really kind of highlighting this again. It's just kind of amazing how much this is preferred across almost every different visitor segment. So this is just more proof in the pudding for you guys. Let's see, let's look here. So what did the best do last holiday season? We're looking at high growth brands, what they were using to kind of propel their sales through the holiday season and beat out their competition. Greetable, this was a lead capture promotion run through Justuno, run throughout Q4, and is really kind of like the poster child for the strategies that we'll be discussing in later episodes. They focused on building and nurturing their subscriber lists, which kind of translated into this explosive sales conversion rate of that segment that engaged with the promotion, submitted their emails, and then ended up buying. That 69.67 rate is among the highest we've seen, and it's pretty consistent with holiday shoppers and kind of that increased engagement that you'll see from your traffic overall. Juice Beauty, the gift basketing they're referring to is kind of referring to bundling gifts together in one add to cart action. And this type of bundling and upselling makes shoppers feel kind of like superheroes themselves. They're either, they either knocked out one gift for a few people on their list, or they knocked out a big gift for someone special. We also have documentation, Jenna, that I believe you're going to drop into the chat right now for our Shopify merchants, which will help you set this up via our CTA layers if you want to just get started, get ahead of the ball on that. But we also have, if you're not on Shopify and you still want to use this feature, you can talk to our support and account management staffs further. It's generally because it's kind of a different case each time, so we're a little bit more one-on-one with it to help you get that set up. And I would also, one note that I have about the gift basketing is I would actually lump this into something we'll get into more later, which is Black Friday and Cyber Monday promotions, as opposed to something that you might do pre-Black Friday or Cyber Monday. This is really going to be a sales conversion focused type offer. And kind of the same with Brooklinens too. We talk about this, and I usually kind of refer to this as kind of a double promo. So they have this surprise gift with purchase, which can be as simple as a coupon code that auto adds a free item, which you can just populate in a Justuno banner, for instance, or you can do it for your lead capture for pre-Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Both of those are worth testing. And as far as their tiered discounts go, there's a few different ways to run those, but I kind of have to emphasize that the easier you make this on the customer, the more likely it is they'll engage and convert. For example, you can target the visitor's cart total, and if it's below $100, show the low tier deal. 100 to 200 shows the separate promo for the larger discount, and kind of so on and so forth. And each segment should be shown only to the offer that applies to them directly. Now, I was talking with a pro services account manager earlier, and she mentioned to me that it also might be worth testing in if you're showing the person with $100 in their cart the $100 tier discount. maybe also in the same promo, show them the one above so that it may increase overall AOV and average order value. So that's another worthwhile item to try out. And all this, we're going to keep going back to testing and testing in the month of October and early November to get that, to find out what works best for your audience. Talking a little bit about the 90-10 rule. I read it in another interesting internet retailer article by the founder of Net Elixir. And it points out that in many cases, 90% of your revenue comes from 10% of your customers. And this is sort of like an oldie but a goodie, but in our case, it refers to knowing your high value traffic and marketing your best deals to those people. Get the most value out of the people that are willing to give it to you, in other words, and work on nurturing the more low value clients. Okay. So what we're going to look at now, this is kind of part funnel, part marketing funnel, part traffic flow, and kind of as it more kind of directly related to Justuno. This should kind of provide somewhat of a visual with the accompanying questions that you should get the answers to if you don't actually have them already. As with most of these traffic funnel questions, knowing this answer will also guide you to that high value segment of traffic and segments that could use some of that nurturing. So we talk about new visitors. We think about the top of funnel approach, boosting value from your paid efforts. Among other things, these are people that you're paying to get to your site for the most part. And it's a large amount of traffic for most of you. The higher rate of new visitors seeing a lead capture promotion, the more your customer acquisition cost goes down, for example, because many of those engaged visitors will end up buying. So it helps in a lot of ways. And this is not even just a holiday note. This is year round. A lot of these things can be implemented year round, but are the most important to run during the holidays. So current subscribers, AKA your most valuable segment. Think back to this 1 to 44 ratio. That becomes even more true in Q4 specifically. And the first question should give you some indication of when to start marketing to this segment more aggressively. So when did your click-through rate increase? The second question is kind of simple and often I find undervalued, underused. It's do you show a coupon code in the email, but then not target that person when they get back to the site using UTM parameters and showing a Justuno banner, matching that offsite marketing message, showing the same coupon code? Have you considered showing a timer to press urgency on that sale? Some of the bigger high growth brands that we work with, including companies like Pura Vida, they're doing this year round with a lot of success. And this is a great time of year to start implementing this for yourself if you're not doing it already. And you can also even, side note here, you can run one of our A/B tests with a segment that doesn't see that and then a segment that does. So they either are seeing the control, which is seeing no pop-up at all, or they're seeing the banner click-through. And so you can kind of compare conversion rates there because that's really the end goal there for your test. Abandoners. Again, knowing the answer here will help you kind of set benchmarks for your upcoming season and maybe tell you something about, those people that are abandoning. Is direct traffic often abandoning via product pages, via PDPs or the cart itself? What can you kind of determine? What patterns can you view from this and try to manipulate later on? The next two questions in the abandoner side relate to keeping these abandoners on site before relying on something like your abandoned cart triggered emails, which has become a lot more popular this year. Those do work really well and if you have the abandoner's email address already. But a great like first line of defense that we find is to try to keep them on site. Taking it a step further, many of our clients target those abandoners when they click through that triggered email, much like the above example, and reinforce the discount they're receiving along with a timer possibly to let them know when the deal expires. So really there's a lot of different ways to target these people when they come back to the site and make those triggered email efforts a lot more fruitful. For your existing customers, ask yourselves, like, where are all of your current customers coming to your site from? My guess would probably be email, but it's worth finding out that in maybe your case, it may be different. Maybe you happen to be a publisher in this holiday training series or something like that. It's worth finding out where those loyal customers are coming from. This is also a great time of year to reward their loyalty with early access to your Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. There's so many advantages to that we'll get into in further episodes. or even giving them an extra discount just to say thanks. This doesn't necessarily have to even involve an email campaign. Our targeting rules allow you to target anyone who's ever placed an order before. So, maybe for this first run of early shoppers and loyal customers that are doing their research early, consider a promo that just says, hey, just for you, our loyal customers get 20% off for the next 24 hours. And use this code and possibly include a timer on that too. So there's a recurring theme here of you're targeting that traffic in different segments and adding value, not just through like just lead capture, but what can you do before Black Friday and Cyber Monday to enhance your efforts. Okay.
Hey,
so,
Robbie, just
yeah.
want to chime in real quick. I noticed we have a lot of questions coming in, so thanks guys, keep them coming. I'm keeping a running list. If we don't answer them in chat, that means I'm plopping them into this list that we'll address later. Also, a few of you have submit via the Q&A feature. Thank you for that, and we will address these at the end.
Cool, thank you, Jenna.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna put it all together now. So what should you guys focus on this year? What does it all mean? And what you're seeing right now on the screen is kind of like a golden list that I've put together for you, a map of your holiday success with Justuno. I really do encourage you to write these bullet points down, because if nothing else, this is what I want you to take away from this episode right here. We really have more data now than any year before to be ahead of the curve. And from Justuno's perspective, that really means putting together a plan for the final 92 days of the year, and not just the Cyber 5 sprint that we all know and love. So this is a really important list that this is going to be kind of the main takeaway from this episode. So onto our list. The idea, really the idea of building and nurturing your lists at this time of year cannot be overstated. I mean, I'll try, but it really can't be overstated. Capture leads for your traffic before Black Friday and build out your marketing campaigns around this. Okay. 1 and 2 have a lot in common, I think. November 1st to the 23rd last year saw a 17.9% growth in online sales. And that's according to Internet Retailer. Also the week before Christmas, again, a major opportunity. So spread these promotions out throughout December and utilize things like free shipping to combat Amazon. So the before and after is just as important as the during. So kind of going back to this gift basketing and free gifts and everything like that, really this is a sort of newer idea that's come along. And the idea here is adding ease and adding value are major differentiators when everybody else is offering discounts. And we'll be the first people to tell you to offer a discount on your site. Those of you that have worked with us for a while know. But we're also presenting to you differentiators that can set your site apart and possibly give you some more ideas for things that you guys want to offer if you don't just want to be offering a discount to your store. So back to the mobile tsunami is going to keep surging. Last year, mobile had its first $2 billion day on Cyber Monday, which is for those of you keeping track, that's a 31% year-over-year growth. Mobile traffic averages out to about 50% of overall traffic. And I know for a lot of you that is a lot more than 56%. It can get up to 75, maybe 80%. I know this because I've combed through all of your analytics many, many times and throughout the years. So we've kind of seen this trend keep going up. So mobile is kind of where it's at right now. Lastly, this has a lot to do with Amazon and other kind of big box retailers. You can't really necessarily fight them, but understand that they get a lot of their sales the week right before Christmas and through their Prime membership, and combat that with your own kind of website messaging, most commonly done through our banners that lets people know they have to order by this date, and for you, the retailer, that means pushing that date back as late as you possibly can. Okay. So if this seems like a lot to juggle, don't worry. We're going to be providing plenty of pre-built promotions and themes that are going to provide shipping deadline banners, and obviously our account management support team will be there to help you guys as well. You'll notice that I just kind of breezed over the set a goal for more same session transactions, but that should be something that is sort of innate in your marketing efforts, and everything that you're doing should be, especially during the holidays, moving to get people in same session transactions. Okay. So let's kind of get a little bit more granular with this. These are just some kind of more site specific questions to ask yourselves. This will kind of guide your deals and get all the information gathered at the right time, which is now, we're getting to that time. So, are your subscribers going to be able to access your doorbusters early? What products can you bundle? What can you give away with purchase? And where can you ship for free? And how late can you ship for free? A recurring theme here. So moving on, let's get to your action items, right? I mean, this is what I think you guys have been maybe waiting for in the presentation. So thanks for, getting through all that contextual stuff with me. What you're looking at here is going to be your homework for the week, if you will. It's going to be your action items, your to-do list. So let's jump in.
And you guys pay attention to this, because if you attend episode 2, I'm going to be checking in with you to see who completed it. So
teacher's going to be checking. So action item number 1, outline your game plan. These are some ideas really to help for your sales game plan, and work them in if you already have one, kind of a general game plan. And if you don't, this could be a good starting point. You likely have some sort of workflow for when and where you'll have your discounts, but it's worth considering how these will interact with Justuno, meaning like embedded, discount images on your site and how those are going to play with your Justuno promotions. Okay. So, the real thing I think that you want to avoid is getting to Black Friday and Cyber Monday and running like a 10% lead capture promotion while you have that, hero image in your carousel and in your emails. It's all advertising, 60% off site wide, no code needed type of thing, which we saw a lot more a couple of years ago. And I think people have really started to wise up to, but that is one of those main design UX flows that you want to avoid when the time comes. Really like the pro tip here is going to help bring more emails into your pre-Black Friday and Cyber Monday flows. And then November 1st is, just before that tipping point where the sales conversions and email click-throughs start increasing. And so last year, interestingly, it was November 12th where the e-commerce industry-wide basically started seeing this increase in sales conversion, this hockey stick of overall sales happening. So that's kind of a good date to keep in mind. Okay. The November 1st lead capture promotions are a good time to tease your Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. And since a lot of people are still researching, but maybe not necessarily buying, get them into the marketing system and advertise that they can be part of an exclusive group that gets the deal, not to mention something that is often overlooked, which is the product availability. These people that get in early, maybe you want to advertise to them that they have the pick of the litter in terms of the products that they want to buy before the rest of everybody else gets in. When the time comes, have a banner that targets those email click-throughs, again, using UTMs, and contains whatever that early deal is, just so they can know that they are part of the exclusive group seeing this. So back to what I said a second ago, you don't really want discounts competing for attention. The customer should really kind of have one goal before Black Friday and Cyber Monday, get onto your email list. During Black Friday and Cyber Monday, buy. Kind of funneling these deals, if you're thinking about running discounts before the Cyber 5 starts, run them through the lead capture. And then by the time you get to Black Friday, which is November 23rd, it helps, you're going to help goal 1. And then turning off those lead capture campaigns during the Cyber 5 is going to satisfy goal number 2. So you're going to give everybody a main goal. A lot of people maybe don't want to necessarily turn off their lead capture when Black Friday and Cyber Monday hit, but it's worth maybe taking that out of the middle of the frame, maybe making it a corner flyout so it's not the main goal of the person on the page. And you don't want to siphon off the lead capture, but you want to get people more in the mode of buying, once you hit Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Okay. So that's action item number 1, your sales game plan. Remember that now all the way up until November 23rd is going to be your lead capture timeframe. It's going to be your main lead capture timeframe. And we'll talk more about, we'll break those dates down more in a second when we get to A/B testing. But let's go over here. So,
and one thing, sorry, Robbie, one thing for you guys that are really wanting to stick to a schedule and actually get something done this Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I would highly encourage you to go into your calendar right now and set yourself a reminder for the 23rd to turn off your lead capture promotion. So that's just an extra step, but that means that you've set in a checkpoint for yourself and for your team that you know on that day to turn it off.
and you can also, we have the ability to really automate your promotions, so you can actually schedule those promotions to turn off if you want to, which a lot of people,
good point. Yep.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people in the past year or two have started kind of taking advantage of that. So again, just put this in here to remind you how important it is to feed these highest converting channels, especially email, with to your new visitors, and market those to your new visitors. Really, our targeting rules are really smart. Okay, and just as an idea, you can actually target those, kind of looking through mobile traffic that ends up buying on desktop. For example, you can target those people that started that journey on mobile, maybe saw one of your mobile banners, and you can target them as you see fit when they get to desktop. And don't forget that this is a very common behavior for mobile traffic. I mean, myself, I am so guilty of doing this because I'm just getting a little older and I like the bigger screen, but I also like looking at all the product pages and the larger images and everything like that. So our proprietary visitor profile tracking system builds profiles for every single visitor coming to your site, cross-browser, cross-device. So we know who these people are to allow you to target to them later on if you choose to. So,
and that's super important too, guys, for those of you listening who aren't sure what that means or aren't aware of that functionality of Justuno. That means if somebody visits your site from their phone and then later they go to their laptop or desktop, we can recognize that same visitor and treat them in a manner that you'd like. So whatever stage of the funnel they're at, we can recognize that cross-device activity. And that's something I believe that is proprietary to Justuno. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, Robbie, but that's one of the really, really great things about our software that ranges, I mean, the free accounts have it all the way up to our highest accounts.
Yeah, it's available for everybody as soon as the code is embedded on your site. And it makes it easier too. If you have some kind of banner or like lead caption on mobile, it certainly makes the targeting aspect of that a little bit more out of the box, a little bit easier, but we can track these people across browser and device. And so again, if you have any kind of more advanced level targeting questions on that, feel free to talk to one of our product experts or your account manager. So really kind of a note about UTM parameters and query strings is that is largely how our targeting rules target different traffic sources. It's not the only way, but it is a large part of how we set things up. And it's certainly the easiest way for you guys out there to, do things like target your email traffic or target someone who's coming from a social ad or, even like a G-CLID for AdWords and things like that. So UTMs are important. I don't doubt that most of you probably have all of those set up year round anyway, but if you don't, that is definitely one of the most important things that you can do before the holidays. So, kind of just a highlight here. If you know your sales game plan and you know your segments, you can start scheduling your promotion workflow like I was talking about earlier, and you can kind of breathe a sigh of relief. It's really having two parts of that puzzle dialed in before and having them automated means one less thing that you guys are going to have to worry about later on when you're kind of more focused on things like the overall site or the marketing campaigns or the fulfillment of orders and everything like that. So moving on to action item number 3, design and test ahead of time. And this is a very important thing that is not only important in Justuno, but it's a theme that I keep seeing recurring over and over in all the research that we were doing. And it makes enough sense that we don't have to spend too much time on this, but the earlier you get your assets together, the sooner you can optimize the campaigns you're running and be even more relieved when you're basically almost done with the holidays. I'm kidding, but you'll have Justuno largely set and ready to move on to your other initiatives that we just talked about. What we find kind of both in account management and in our professional services is that advanced setups in Justuno do require some QA testing, much like anything else, just to ensure that everything's running smoothly, firing as expected. And it's kind of the way it is. You know, you want to make sure that you give yourself enough time. If you're going to do something like tiered offers that are going to show and going to have possibly some overlap in their segments or something like that, or you need to target, you know, a JavaScript variable or something like that, give yourself time. Of course, our team is going to be here to help you in case you guys get stuck on something. But we do encourage you, you know, just like you guys, we get very busy during the holidays. So it pays to test these campaigns early. Check out these, kind of take notes of these aspect ratios and constraints for your design. We get asked these questions often year round, and it really comes down to the aspect ratio more than the pixel size. These pixel sizes that you're seeing are generally the size of the background layers in our pre-built promotions. So you can go as big as or small as you want, but design big and scale down, not the other way around. And remember those aspect ratios for desktop and mobile.
And guys, we'll send out the PDF deck of this, so you'll have this on paper. So don't worry about if you don't want to write it down or anything. We'll shoot these your way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the most common setups we see during the Cyber 5 include usually something like a big full-size, full-page welcome screen. Some call it like a mock landing page, if you will, and that's certainly something that you can build in Justuno, and typically like shows to everybody, lets them know that the deals are on, the doorbusters are on. And we'll be building these in episode 3, but go ahead and get started if you're feeling up to it, or if you guys need some product imagery that is going to take up a whole page. That full page image background is responsive in our design canvas. So again, the aspect ratio will be more even, I believe, because of the browser window. We can get more info on that, but the point is make sure you get that stuff taken care of early if you still need, you know, product photography or anything like that to take care of. Lastly, you know, mobile UX is key. Again, Addressee, they noticed that that most abandoning mobile visitors cited UX as their main reason for doing so. And as far as Justuno goes, that means making your text and buttons as big and clear as you can, both opt in and opt out. Make it easy. Don't make people work to understand what it is that they are engaging with. You know, a lot of the time I will see people using very small text, small copy, or a lot of words on their mobile promotions, which is something that if you can help it, avoid it. Use big buttons and make everything super clear. Okay. So, again, as a reminder, we're here to help. We're going to have these pre-built promotions and themes ready to go, ready to choose from for those of you that aren't utilizing resources in-house to build them all from scratch. And they're going to have our best practices built in. So these will be accessible by episode 4. But we also have some themes that are already in place from last year if you want to kind of start working on some of that stuff now. Okay. All right, let's get to our final action item of the day. A/B test now, finished by early November. I should have written early November in there. Use your preliminary researching, quote unquote, audience to help you fine tune these promotions that you're testing and running for later on. What you're looking for here are some common testing ideas that we've seen lead to kind of chunk improvements. I encourage you to test things that will make a real difference, like imagery, CTA copy, full screen versus center screen, 3-step versus 2-step for lead capture. Look for the chunk gains and don't sweat the small stuff. Don't worry about testing your CTA color, for example. Remember that controls and variants must, in Justuno, they're going to share the same rules in order to provide you the highest confidence. So when you're running your tests, you're going to be testing variants that can be changed in the design canvas, not necessarily something like, you know, a 5-second delay versus a 10-second delay, because automatically the confidence of that goes down because those are 2 different audiences. So just a side note about our A/B testing feature, but you can test, like I said earlier, a control versus variant scenario where you have whatever the pop-up variant is against no pop-up at all or no campaign at all. So that is an option and the only one outside of the design canvas that you can test. So as far as timing goes, you may want to, you may be wondering to yourself if you're more like evergreen lead capture will test better against your something like an early access to Black Friday, for example. So run that test starting. I'm going to give you a date right here that is a good date to start and a good date to end. October 21st is when you start your tests, and November 7th is going to be when you end those tests, because you will actually get the tail end of the researching audience and the beginning of the buying audience. So if you're testing your lead capture and everything before then, I would work on, we want to encourage you to test throughout October, but everybody on our team, including our professional services, agrees that you need to finish these tests up by early November, because you're going to have a different audience. And the whole point of getting the back end of October and the beginning of November is so you kind of get a little bit of both. And you can see maybe my evergreen promotion is going to work better than the early access to Black Friday. Maybe that works for your audience. We can't tell you for sure, but we can tell you that testing at that point is going to be a better audience to test against. Okay. So with that, that is essentially episode 1. With our recap, email is still the top converting channel. Everybody knows that. Get used to it. It's going to stay around for a while. Because of that, have enticing new subscriber promotions ready for early season shoppers. And not only that, that kind of loops into the next point, but plan for before and after, not just during the Cyber 5 stretch, because while those will be the largest money-making days, there are so many opportunities that the data is showing us are apparent now, long before and long after that, that go well into butting right up against Christmas, that are going to be huge for sales and a good place for you to kind of take a chunk of that pie that people have been missing in past years. Okay. Gift basketing adds ease. Free gifts adds value. Differentiators in terms of promotions that you can run that aren't just discounts that maybe a lot of other people are running. Optimize your mobile campaigns first, and desktop separately. That should also be a point that's on there. Is do mobile first, because that is undoubtedly going to take over the lion's share of traffic and sales this year if the trends continue to rise. And then test desktop separately, because those at the end of the day, those are separate segments of traffic, and we want you to think of them as such. Game plan your discounts and sales before and after. Don't let discounts compete for attention. Don't be sitting at the last minute having your designer working on your 60% off doorbuster hero image, and your marketer working on your lead capture promotion for November. And first of all, not having some continuity in the design, and you're telling your visitors two different things, really. So don't let that happen to you. Push back your shipping deadlines as late as possible. Again, we're going to get into that more in episode 2, 3, and 4, but this is really going to help you take a chunk of those sales that are these kind of gold mines a week before Christmas. So the latest you can push that back, it'll be a strain, but it'll be worth it. Okay. Design early, test often. Stop testing on November 7th, and have your entire pre-Black Friday, Black Friday, and December workflow set up by November 7th. That is going to be a great day. If you guys can get all those things, as far as Justuno goes, all set up and running and automated by November 7th, you are going to have a much easier holiday experience from our vantage point. Okay. So that is episode 1. I want to thank you guys so much for joining. There were so many of you in here, and we're glad that you guys are taking this as seriously as you are early. And glad that we can help, kind of do some of the research and present it to you in a more condensed format. And I think, Jenna, now we're ready to open it up to some questions.
I think so. I hope you guys are excited about planning, because we got lots of action items in here for you. And like I said, I'm definitely going to be checking in with you guys on episode 2. So be prepared for that. I do have quite a few questions. So, and if we get these done in a considerable amount of time, or in a quick amount of time, then we can address some other ones. So I will just start from the top, if that's cool with you, Robbie.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we had several people talking about, it was in back on one of the very first slides when you were talking about the value of email marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Several people said, hey, I thought the new thing now was marketing through Facebook Messenger. That's more popular. So I think that can be addressed, to a US audience, because we had a follow-up from Carmen, who I'm guessing is international, because she said, hey, GDPR has really affected my email marketing. So maybe that's why she was also asking about marketing through Facebook Messenger. So I think there's kind of a twofold question there. Do you want to go ahead and take the first part of that?
Yeah, and I actually happen to have Kelsey from our professional services team. You're kind of looking at me like you might have some insight there.
Oh, cool.
Justuno is working on getting something integrated for Facebook Messenger that will work directly with our platform. Where the timeline is on that, I am not sure, but it is coming. So it is something we'll be able to do in the near future.
Yeah. And that's Facebook Messenger specifically. I would say, just to address GDPR real quick for you, Carmen, we have all the steps necessary for you still to provide lead capture and to really kind of put these enticing offers in front of new traffic and still be GDPR compliant. We'll be happy to work with you to let you know where those options are in Justuno and how to set those up. It's actually fairly easy, and it just provides a checkbox to those people to make sure that they know what they're opting in for. And also with Facebook Messenger, it may be something up and coming and something maybe a little bit more underground at this point, but you're really talking about kind of a small niche. I would argue that it's a small niche because there is an increase in click-through coming from paid ads and especially social, but more and more people going off of Facebook and using things like Instagram, or even people are getting a lot of traffic from Snapchat. So, and you also, when you look at that slice of a segment of people, you're not even taking into account the rest of the world or the rest of the population of your traffic, which is still largely like email is. I think the reason why we harp on it so much is because that is the tried true method. If you're going to invest your time and resources into some channel specifically, then email is still definitely the place to do it. And I mean, and I certainly wouldn't turn your back on Facebook Messenger either. Like we do hear a lot of people talking about it, but as far as where the money's at right now, and especially in the holidays, people will be looking to their email to see what the deals are, so do both, but focus on the one that will has a proven ROI.
Cool. So Robert, Jason, Carmen, I hope that addresses your Facebook Messenger question. And Robert says, F yes, do that fast. Can't wait for integration with Facebook Messenger. So Sounds good, Robert. Keep your eyes peeled on your email for more on that. Okay, next question. Allie asked early on the Brooklinen slide, do you have examples of Brooklinen's campaign? But she was, I think, more wondering, can you use Justuno to offer a gift with purchase?
Yes. So I would be curious to see if you're on Shopify or not. That just changes the procedure of setting that up. But it's what I'll say, not to take up too much time, it's done through our CTA layers. So you can program the CTA. It's actually in the bottom right side of if you select the CTA layer at the bottom right, you can put in a data ID. That will, I believe, there's also a support document. Miranda, can you find that support document? We might have already put that support document in there, but to answer your question, yes, it can be done through Justuno. As far as Brooklinen examples, I'm sorry, Jenna, can you repeat the question on the examples?
Yeah, she was just wondering if you had an example of the campaign.
Oh, no, I didn't. I actually, we pulled that from Shopify, and Brooklinen was a little, from what I could tell, a little guarded about the campaign itself. They just stated that their AOV went up.
Okay. So I think, I just think the support article, I think I already did drop that, but I will drop it again right now.
Miranda's going to drop it again too.
Oh, Miranda's got it? Okay, cool.
Kind of pin it to the bottom.
Great. Well, Allie, I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, let us know in chat or in the Q&A. All right, next, I'm going to skip down a little bit. I'm going to kind of ping pong around because there's a question I'm super interested to address. We have Nikki with us, and Nikki, I believe, is from the nonprofit sector. So welcome, Nikki. Thanks for joining. She says, sorry, I lost your question here. she was wondering if we had any specific examples about nonprofits, and then also adding to the Q&A, she wants to know kind of like what's the difference between a nonprofit and a regular site or an e-commerce site, timing strategy, etc. So first, I'll take the first part of that, Robbie, because I pinged the team during the presentation to get some feedback on nonprofits. So I guess just looking, unfortunately, we can't share specific data right now because we didn't reach out and ask for that permission from our nonprofit clients. But what I can tell you is that their call to actions are, pretty straightforward, just like donate now to support. And I think, Robbie, even one of your points in the very beginning of this presentation is a lot of times the offers that perform the best are just really not fancy at all. They're just very straightforward and have a clear call to action. So what we see from some nonprofits is just that it's clear messaging, and then they might have like several different options for donation amounts. So I can kind of give you that little snapshot of information. I can't give you specific data right now, but I think really what would help if, Robbie, you could answer the question is probably more about the difference, because trying to interpret this presentation for a nonprofit, how can she do that?
Right. Yeah. I would, honestly, I would utilize a lot of the same strategy that we're talking about, but if anything, maybe it opens the door for you even more, because you can do things like offer donations as an incentive, or as like, hey, like you have this gift, would you consider giving a donation to those in need? Like, have you been to a toy drive this year or something like that? Like you may have just a different angle to have a goal for somebody, and your goal is typically since your goal is not profit, like you might have some different ideas that satisfy some different goals for you. And we certainly do have, I can think of one example of a nonprofit that is purely donation based, and they are starting to use just, year round to solicit donations. They're using our targeting rules. And it's not necessarily a design thing, but they're using our targeting rules to funnel certain donation opportunities to certain traffic sources, or they'll do something like use our geolocation targeting to point people towards something happening in their area. So Nikki, wherever you guys are located, maybe you guys are running something local. Maybe you're running a toy drive. Maybe one idea for you is to target that local audience and say, hey, we're running toy drives here, here, and here on these dates. Please feel free to join us. I hope that answers your question. Obviously, kind of like what Jenna said, we're adapting this presentation to nonprofits or even like publishers, for example, is something that our account management team is usually better at handling one-on-one, because we can kind of get to know your situation a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that geolocation idea is great, Robbie, because also I know a lot of nonprofits run like fundraising events or just dinners, things like that. So that could be a really easy one for you to target via zip code here in the US and state. If you're abroad, we can target via area. So I'm going to drop a link to our advanced targeting rules right now. So that covers every single thing in there. It's very exhaustive and extensive. So you guys can find any type of targeting rule you're looking for there. So Nikki, I hope that helps. I think Robbie made some great recommendations to you. Okay, let's go on to our next question. We have a few questions from Drew, and I think Miranda answered some of these in the Q&A section, but I wanted to go ahead and call it out because I feel like other users or other attendees might have the same question. Drew asks, how does the auto add item into cart work? So I think this goes back to kind of the free gift question, but it seems, I know we've dropped that link a couple times, but maybe Robbie, it would help if you could just briefly talk us through the technical piece of that for, let's just use Shopify as the platform.
Let's see, can I talk us through the technical part of it? It essentially, I'll go as far as what I know. Basically, we find you tell us what the SKU or the item number is that we should be looking for, and what the action, what the CTA should do, what the action should be, and we have multiple options for that action. Sometimes that action is just linking to a different page. Sometimes the action is actually opening up a different promotion which is also available. And then sometimes that action is auto adding an item to cart. And so for Shopify, I don't honestly know what happens with the JavaScript or anything that actually is used to technically add the item to the cart. But I know that within our canvas, we look for that. We look for the item number.
Okay, but it's just pretty straightforward. Like you guys put in, if you are on Shopify or Shopify Plus, you put in a little blip of code, and then we can then read that value. So I think that's really kind of.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Robbie.
I was just going to say, we basically look for an item number or, like our code, and it works the same way with our variable targeting rules. Like you tell us, the code that you drop in your site is a JavaScript wrap that lets us know, hey, look for this item. And depending on what the function is, it'll say either add that to cart or, show this promotion to someone who has this specific item in their cart and things like that.
Cool. Okay, Drew, I hope that answers your question along with the support that Miranda provided you in the Q&A section. So let us know. Alrighty, next question comes from Kira. I believe hopefully I'm saying that right. Kira wants to know, is there a way to run cart abandoner promos on mobile?
So we actually have a proprietary mobile exit technology. It's not as good as desktop. And that's because you don't have a cursor on desktop. So, and you don't drag your thumb around your phone when you're browsing on a mobile site. So what you would do, and this is what I would recommend, this is what I recommend to everybody doing some sort of mobile exit offer or cart abandonment prevention offer, is I would target people that either leave via the back button. So that's an option in our advanced targeting rules. It says exiting via back button. And then I would say, or they are idle on the cart page or the checkout page for, let's call it 20 seconds, right? And you can look at your exit page analytics in Justuno, and you can get an idea of a more specific time to your store. But I would absolutely recommend doing that, and especially the idling piece, because someone is more likely to idle on your site than they are to exit with the back button. But you can utilize both of those conditions to target both of those segments. So I hope that answers your question. And you could say like if they exit with the back button and their cart total is above 0, or they're idle on the page and their cart total is above 0, and you're not technically going to get those people that maybe had the intent to exit your site, but you're getting people that are just hanging there and they're not converting. And we've seen lifts on sales conversion rates on mobile from running a promo like that.
Cool. So Kira, I'm not sure if you're with us, still with us. If you are, I dropped a support article to setting up an exit offer on mobile. And then if you also just reference that exhaustive list of advanced targeting rules, oh good, she's still here. She says, got it, thanks. Then you should be able to put something together. Alrighty, that answers that question. Let's move on. This one is a really good question, in my opinion, for the Black Friday topic. I believe is how you say it, or May, M-A-I, asks, what's the best message to show on email capture pop-up which shows a big holiday sale? Can you give some examples? So I'm thinking we're talking about messaging here and putting on your marketing cap and trying to attract people to a big sale.
With lead capture, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Correct.
Yeah. So that was something I was kind of diving into earlier, where, again, this is really going to be something, that you'll have to test with your audience, because if there's anything that we've learned, it's that audiences are different depending on the site, right? So you got to figure out what works best for your traffic. But when it comes to late October, early November lead capture, I would A/B test early access to their Black Friday deals. If you don't want to offer a discount, there's like a whole matrix of things, right? And some people just don't believe in offering discounts on their site, which is fine. Mm-hmm. And in that case, I would say 100%, you absolutely should run the early access to Black Friday. But you should also A/B test that against maybe, like I said earlier, the evergreen or the offer that you're running throughout the rest of the year. Like maybe you redesign it to kind of fit with the holidays more, the holiday theme more, but it's the same, maybe 10% off for lead capture that you run against an offer that's like, get early access to Black Friday deals. But to answer your question, that's the best offer is very site specific.
Okay, May, I hope that answers your question. for those of you who are asking about examples, you're probably like me. I'm a super visual person. So it's like, I want to see what these offers look like. If you join us for the remaining episodes, we're going to get a lot more visual. So I would just highly suggest joining in if you can. And we're going to show, actual examples, actual setups. So it'll be a lot easier for you guys to put this kind of advice into a visual, offer. So
and I wanted to do things like put Greetables offer, their lead capture offer in here, but we didn't have enough space in the slides. So, but there's a lot, like Jenna said, there's a lot of visuals coming in later in the following episodes.
Yep. Cool. So I hope that answered your question. Let us know in the chat. She says, okay, thanks. We'll look forward to seeing more visuals. Awesome. Alrighty, next question comes from Robert, and we actually had several questions around this too in the chat. So around UTM parameters. I know we kind of throw this word around now because I'm so used to mentioning it in trainings, and Robbie, I'm sure you are too. But can we just kind of go back to square one on UTM codes, explain just briefly what they are? I dropped a link in the chat, and I'll drop it again, from Neil Patel's blog explaining in depth what they are and what they mean. But Robbie, can you go ahead and touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So essentially, the reason why they're so important is because that is a lot of what we use and what a lot of people use to track different traffic and different traffic sources. And specifically for us, it's going to tell us a lot about how, when to show or when to not show an offer to someone. The most prevalent year-round example that I can think of is that you have a lead capture promotion running on your website, but in the interest of user experience, you do not want to show that promotion to someone who's clicking through from an email. So you would exclude someone that is coming from an email that's maybe has their tracking URL as UTM_medium equals email, which is very common in UTMs and query strings. They basically all have different segments where you can actually target different campaigns, UTM campaigns, which may be a specific email. So another example is, someone signed up for your newsletter and you're running a welcome series email flow to that segment of traffic. So in that welcome series, you're saying, hey, welcome to the site. Here's your 10% coupon code. Use that on your first purchase. And the person clicks through the email, and you may target that specific UTM campaign on the campaign level and say, if this person landed on this UTM campaign, then show them a Justuno banner that matches the coupon code that they had in the email. And this kind of further it's all about completing the one-to-one marketing loop and meaning like really one-to-one communication between you, the merchant, and the visitor who may become a customer. And so UTMs in its simplest forms are ways to track people.
Yeah.
And there are multiple different, Google has tracking URL builders. Facebook has them for their ad platform. And there's really kind of like the most common ones are like a UTM source, which might be Facebook, a UTM medium, which might be email, or a UTM campaign, which may be just a string of numbers signifying your welcome series. So it enables, it's a major user of UTMs is Google Analytics. It's going to tell you where searches are coming from and how different traffic sources got to your website. And as far as Justuno goes, it is a large part of what we use to target different traffic sources.
Yep. So Robert, I'm not sure where you are in terms of tracking your marketing campaigns, but Robbie's right. I mean, a lot of people use that at its most basic level in Google Analytics. I'm going to drop a link right now in the chat to Google's campaign URL builder. Now, for most of you that use an ESP or an email service provider, they will most likely have that functionality already built in for you, so you don't have to worry about building another URL. But the reason I'm dropping this in is so that you guys can visualize the fields. So you can see that you have a source, a medium, a campaign name, a campaign term. You just drop all this stuff in and then it shoots out a URL for you. And the cool thing about that is then you take those values, for example, campaign source, if you wanted that to be email or newsletter, that's what Justuno will play off of. So we can say, okay, I'm going to read this URL and see that this person is visiting from newsletter, or this person is visiting from Facebook. Then you can show or exclude offers inside of Justuno, and that makes your targeting even more powerful. So Robert, I'm not sure where you are, but I hope that answers your question. And for those of you who also had questions about it.
I want to also kind of show a just an example here. This may be in AdWords, but like VRBO, for example, classic vacation rental spot. When I click on this URL from AdWords, you're going to see this long string, and this is actually referring to an AdWords click-through, but this is similar to a UTM where this now VRBO knows that, hey, someone just came through our AdWords, and we're either going to target them as such, or we're going to say something, we're going to direct some messaging towards them. So I guess AdWords is a great example, but.
Yeah, well, Robert says he's got it and it's resolved with a smiley face. So I think we answered his question.
Got it.
But if any of you guys have,
yeah.
So if any of you guys have other questions about UTM plus Justuno, that link will also be in the follow-up email. So I'll make sure and reinforce it there. Alrighty, moving on. Matt, I don't know if he's still with us, but Matt wanted to know, where can we find the designs from last year for Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
Those are currently in our, if you go to the promo wizard and you create a new promotion, and once you get to the theme section, you'll see them.
Cool. So Matt, I don't know if you're still with us, Matt Brown, I believe it was. Let us know if you can find them. Alrighty, next question. Nikki wants to know, and I believe Nikki, this might be the same nonprofit Nikki, but she wants to know, what is the ideal number of users for an A/B test?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it, Jenna?
Yep. Nikki just wanted to know, on your section when we were talking about A/B testing, she asked, what is the ideal number of users for A/B testing?
Number of users.
The way I interpreted that, and Nikki, you can correct me here in the chat if I'm wrong, is just, what's the ideal of probably, and when you, percentage, like where can you judge or make a call?
Oh, on like a winner?
That's the way, Nikki, is that what you're asking? That's kind of what I interpreted.
Yeah. Kelsey, do you have any input on this? When do you know at what percentage difference in an A/B test do you have a winner?
Professional services, we look for anything over 10%. Just make sure that you're seeing at least 10,000 impressions overall. That's the best. If you're having a hard time getting that traffic, 30 days is usually where we sit with the recommendation. But anything under 10%, is where we really pay attention. Another way to do it is to compare it to your engagement rate for your promotions in general. Once you see a larger difference or something that's closer to the average that you're looking at within your dashboard, that's usually the winner.
Yeah. And I would kind of go off that point a little bit too, and remember what I was saying earlier, which is like, look for the chunk gain. So if you're seeing over 10% gain off the control promotion, off the A promotion, and you're seeing an over 10% improvement in either sales or engagement rate, I would call that a chunk. That is a major chunk gain. So I would utilize those. And things that are, when you're seeing 1 to 2% increases, that it's time to move on to the next idea or to the next initiative, because those 1 to 2% differences, maybe they make a difference for Nordstrom or something like that. But for, SMBs and mid-sized businesses and even those kind of non-big box retailers, those differences are often not worth your time to test further. So look for, like Kelsey said, 10%. You're going to see major gains off that. I would maybe say anything over 5% was worth testing. But then again, the length of time that you run these tests, and Kelsey said 30 days, the length of time that you actually run these will give you a much more even look at how the variance performed against the controls. If you're running it for 30 days and you started it on Tuesday at 2 p.m., you ended on 30 days later on Tuesday at 2 p.m., you're going to have a very good sample size to say, like, it wasn't just this 1 week where we had a bunch of paid efforts that all of a sudden the engagement rate goes up, and that is, some bias in the statistical significance. I would run it for test often and for long periods of time and look for chunk gains.
Cool. Nikki says 10,000 impressions is good to know. 30 days is also good to know. So great, Nikki. I hope that answers your question. And guys, go ahead. Like Robbie said, we have specific recommendations on testing dates. So again, to reiterate those, he recommends starting on October 21st and ending very early on in November 7th.
Well, I'm sorry, that was, let me just clarify. You should end your A/B tests on November 7th. You should, if you're testing, I would encourage the testing to be happening starting in like October, because you'll start to get a little bit of that traffic. I think right now you're getting, maybe more like normal traffic. And you should always be testing. Always be trying to optimize your promotions. But I would start I would start testing in some holiday copy and all those things like as soon as October hits. Really the 2-week tests that we're looking at, the ones between October 21st and November 7th, is if you're going to test any previous versions of lead capture against a holiday focused lead capture, like early access to Black Friday and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Having a visual calendar would help. Alrighty, I will note that down for our marketing team. That does sound like something really cool to have. All right, Nikki, thanks for asking a great question. The next question I wanted to ask is from Sally, and I know she had to hop, I believe, because she actually has a call with Liz, who is one of our professional services account managers here at Justuno. So Sally, I told you I would go ahead and ask this so we could have it on the recording. But Sally wants to know, and it's a great question. She wants to know, how do you keep sales flowing if your pop-up says you'll be having a sale in a few weeks?
That's a really good question. Similar to like, how do you get a sales conversion from a pop-up that is a giveaway, for example, like, because people just see if they get the store credit or whatever to see if they get before they buy. The point is you do keep sales going, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. I mean, you can do like what I said earlier, you can reward your loyal customers and only show that segment maybe a discount code just because. You can also, something that we saw that was very common last year is get early access to Black Friday plus 10% off now. Like you can do both, really. And I'm sure our professional services team, Kelsey is she's in this meeting right now as it is. So she will definitely be able to recommend things for Sally. And as far as our non-professional services clients go, talk to your account manager. We'll constantly have our finger on the pulse, but I'd say a really good starting point is do like early access to Black Friday plus 10% off now. Or
I like that.
Or like, talking about, free gifts with purchase, something like that. That's something that you can do that doesn't even necessarily discount your products, but maybe you guys have some old inventory that you're clearing out that you could give away with an email subscription.
Yep, I like it. Do a combo effort. Cool. Well, Sally, I know you had to hop, so hopefully you're listening to this on the recording, and I hope that answers your question. Alrighty, I want to pivot back to the design canvas from Robert, who is asking lots of great questions. He wants to know, can we upload fonts inside the design canvas? I have not seen that option.
We do, Marina. Can you drop in the?
I did.
So we have a custom
question with the links.
We have a support doc that shows you how to upload custom fonts using custom CSS. So you can do that. Another option is to obviously you can build like the background image and the font that you want in like Photoshop if you have access to that, or like Canva or something like that. And then you can just upload that background picture into the Justuno canvas and utilize things like our email fields, our coupon code boxes, which if you are going to go the Photoshop route and the static text route, I highly encourage you to still use our coupon code layers, because those have things like auto add to the shopping cart at checkout, and click to copy at the very least. So there's some enhanced functionality there that you really don't want to miss out on.
Yeah, and another point on that, Robbie, too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we also advise to, if you're going to build your background with custom fonts and all that in Photoshop, to make sure and leave the submit button or the button piece built in Justuno, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we can do all the sizes and colors and shapes of buttons, so it's worth it to just keep all the functional pieces in Justuno, and maybe some, if you're using like Helvetica, for instance. It's like a very commonly used font that we don't provide because it's not a Google font. It's not an open font. So something like that. I mean, there's plenty of workarounds. It's like Arial, and there's almost always a Google font comparison to whatever font you're looking for. But Miranda's dropping in those support docs on uploading your custom fonts if you want to go that route.
Yeah, Robert says, whoops, sorry, I see it in your support articles. No worries. And Robert, I'll also drop a link to a webinar we recently did with one of our partner agencies, Hawk Media. And Hawk actually, the example we're using here is around a mutual client, Snow Monkey, and Hawk designed their whole pop-up in Photoshop, but the button itself is designed and the fields are designed in Justuno. So that will give you a great visual example of how they're actually doing it. It has like a transparent background and stuff like this. So it's really helped conversions in terms of their email marketing campaigns. Cool. That was a good question. Thank you, Robert. Lastly, I don't remember who asked this question. It looks like I deleted the name, so I apologize. But the question is, can we edit the design according to mobile screen size? I know we can choose mobile, but it only shows one option. Like if we want to have a full screen pop-up on the second page for mobile.
If we want to show it on the second page for mobile, that sounds like a different question than what I thought I heard at first.
Yeah, it seems like they're asking, can we edit the design according to mobile screen size?
So yes, right now, the best way to see how that's going to look on maybe bigger screen sizes than what our mobile design canvas is to go to our preview. And on our preview, there's 3 different mobile sizes that I believe go all the way up to like the latest Samsung phone, which is also the same size as the iPhone X. So, so really it is. So really I would do that in the preview, and you can actually, some of those mobile promotions, if you really do want to make them bigger, if you would prefer that they're cut off on an iPhone 5, but are perfect on an iPhone X, as opposed to the other way around, then you can actually pull some of those layers outside of the design canvas itself for mobile. Does that help?
Awesome. I hope so. I apologize. I erased the name of whoever asked that question, and I have no idea where it is in the chat log. So
well, again, the main driving point here is whoever's, who's asking these questions, contact our account management. We'll work with you one-on-one.
Cool. Alrighty. The last question I want to address is something that we maybe should not get super detailed in, Robbie, because I think we're going to cover it in future episodes. But Robert, again, with the good questions, wants to know if you can elaborate a little bit on tiered discounts.
Yeah. Elaborate a little bit on tiered discounts.
That's all he said. He says, I've seen this twice mentioned in your presentation. So I think maybe we could just talk high level about it. Robert, I'm also going to drop a support article about how to create a tiered offer. But Robbie, maybe if you can relate that to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, like, is this something that people should be looking to set up for Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Is it too complex? Is it pretty easy? Like, what would your recommendation be?
Yeah. Again, so this would be one of those that I would lump into the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, December deals as opposed to pre-Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Because again, the main goal for the visitor is different, right? It's sales focused when we get to the Cyber 5 and beyond. And before that, it's really like lead capture. So with your tiered discounts, another reason why this is highly recommended, I believe too, is one thing we found last year is a lot of our professional services clients were they wanted to do very kind of complicated offers. They wanted to do promo drawers. That was a big thing that we saw last year, or things that really kind of cluttered up the decision process for someone. And one of the advantages of the tiered discount is that you can use our targeting rules to target someone with a specific cart value. And you can also use it to hopefully increase that AOV or increase that cart value of at least a few visitors. So that the combination of those things, the fact that it's a medium level advanced promotion, it tends to increase AOV and is perfect for the goal of driving sales conversions, is really kind of, I think that's the reason why we recommend it so much. And that's something that we'll definitely be harping on, I think, this year in our kind of holiday game plans for our professional services clients. So that is what I can do to, I guess, elaborate on it. To elaborate further from a functional or technical standpoint, it's generally like maybe you'll have 3 tiers, and so you'll have 3 different promotions. And the low tier will have what that person is currently getting with their cart value, along with what they could get if they just put a little bit more in their cart. And then the person with the next level, they get, that plus this is what, if you just buy a little bit more. And then the person at the top level, there's only one message for them, which is like, you get the highest amount off that we're going to offer because of that, And so it also has worked a lot for people that are not maybe offering a percentage discount, but they're offering $1 off, which is another common thing I've seen with tiered discounts. And those really you don't want to offer $200 off on a $100 purchase, obviously. So it's like they want these tiered discounts to be kind of in place so that they're targeting the right people. If there's some, that's kind of that's what immediately comes to mind when elaborating on tiered discounts. But if there's something that specifically that you want to know, then definitely can help answer that.
Cool. I think that sounds good. Robert, I would encourage you, Robert says all good. I would encourage you to attend our next episodes too, because we're going to be covering, I'm not sure if we'll do a tiered build out, but we are going to cover some similar type strategies. So just tune in for next episode or watch the recording. Alrighty, I want to close out, Robbie, with one last question that was just asked here in the chat. We have, I know I'm going to butcher this name, so I'm just going to say it Jomar, but you might say Homar. I'm not sure. Depends on where you're located. Jomar. Okay, he says Jomar. Great. So he wants to know exactly what Justuno is. So he asked earlier on, and Miranda answered, we're a conversion marketing platform. And he says, okay, it sounds like you do much more than pop-ups. So I think, Robbie, if you can close us out kind of by elaborating a little bit on how we work with someone's funnel.
Right. Conversion marketing, and especially on site, really kind of personalizing the experience through the use of website messaging and lead capture pop-ups. We harp on lead capture so much because it is the biggest value add of a platform like ours, and that's why pop-ups is such a ubiquitous term for companies. For like a company like Justuno, is because that is where we add the most value. You're spending all this money. I think it was a couple of years ago, it was for every $92 spent in getting people to your site, only $1 was spent to marketing those people when they get on your site. And it's similar to, if you're running a brick and mortar store, you're not going to have a brick and mortar store with no salespeople to talk to the potential buyers and help them find things that they're looking for. So based on visitor behavior, which isn't really that different, it's very comparable to in-store behavior, just less physical, right? Like, it's, like you want to target people with certain behaviors that that you can help push along the process. For some people, that's using Justuno to show a banner, again, with website messaging that says, if you sell appliances, for example, like call this number to talk to us further, for maybe a refrigerator that that a lot of people have questions about. So it's really marketing throughout the funnel, getting people into your email list to nurture those leads. And when they come back to your site and targeting people through different traffic sources, you're able to complete, again, the one-to-one marketing loop. You're able to personalize the message. You're able to get that person the information that they want and that they're looking for to make a purchase on your site. And you're also able, if you're talking about, like, it sounds like we do a lot more than pop-ups. Yeah, we do the center screen pop-ups, which are so common because they work the best. But we also do banners with website messaging that a lot of you in the past have had hard-coded onto your site, or it's part of your theme in Shopify or something like that. But this really allows you, our platform allows you to design and implement these really customizable, good-looking promotions through our advanced targeting and segmentation, so that it puts the power in the hands of the digital marketing team, okay, for rapid deployment and rapid use. It really is a platform in the sense that we don't just make the pop-ups for you, or we don't just have these pop-up templates for you to just kind of plug and play. We have a next level, it really is for all levels, but it is if you want it to be, it can be a very advanced implementation of all of your on-site marketing.
Cool. Jomar, I hope that gives you a better idea of what we do, and we'll have a teammate reach out to you to kind of go over some of the differences. You mentioned that you were with OptiMonk, so we can go ahead and have somebody reach out and walk you through how exactly we're different. So guys, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We had a lot of you stick around for this Q&A, so thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. So the details I will give you is that we're going to send out the recording. I'll try to have that sent out tomorrow. And our next episode will be 1 week from today. It may be an hour earlier, but don't worry, we're going to just send you the reminder email 1 day before and 24 hours before. So just keep your eyes on your email. It will be coming from me, so you'll be aware of when the next one starts. So again, guys, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to attend episode 1. We hope you like it. Everybody said, well, not everybody, but lots of people saying that's awesome. So good job, Robbie. And yeah, thanks guys. And we will see you next week on episode 2.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody. Have a good day.